Hi, Russ Maddin here, tying a little bit of a cult favorite around these parts for spring. It's one of my crawler flies. Since I'm kind of in the mode of spring, and that's probably the next time I'm gonna actually cast in open water. You can tie a fly I call the crawler. Pretty simple fly. You can tie it in a multitude of sizes, although this size right here, we're gonna use a TP605 size 4. Then we're going to use a TP605 size 2. It is a tandem fly, although you can cut one or two of the hooks, or cut one of the hooks off if you prefer. Get a little thread base on this hook. And I'm going to use some buck hair for a stiffening agent. So it's going to support a piece of material and add a little bit of tail to it. I'm just going to tie in about a scissor amount. 14 strands. Did you hear me? 14 strands. Just kidding. Tie in a little amount to hold, just enough to support the next material we're going to put in. And what I like to do when I'm doing this bucktail is just kind of throw a few locks in there, just kind of separate it. And this is all going to be wrapped over, but it's just a good practice to get into so someone doesn't walk over to your fly and pull the tail off. So you're basically doing a little bit of a stiffer bucktail here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some Voodo fiber onto there. And this is, like I said, this is a really good night crawler fly. Something that I use a lot in the spring. And the Voodo is really, really nice, and it really pops pretty good in some turbid water, because you will be fishing this when the water is a little bit on the darker side. So what I like to do is just get that, and that bucktail you put on there will help support that fiber there, and I'll wrap another, just kind of fold it back. And all I'll do is kind of cut it and send it to the army there. And this fly is very thin, so you don't have to worry too much about the tail extending past. Any kind of reasonable fish is going to be able to get a hold of this fly very easily. NFC New Senyo Satin Polar Chenille, or any other material like that. The eyelash yarn or Semperfly makes a version of it. Latch that in there. Go to the front, and we're just going to wrap this around. What I'm kind of doing is giving it a little bit of a twist every time. That kind of keeps the feathers from pinching. When you get to that front, you're just going to wrap off that material. What we'll do here is we're going to put a little collar on this fly, and it can be brown or black or any kind of thing you have. This is just a whiting neck. I'm just going to throw a little bit of contrast in there, although any color will work, any kind of neutral pattern. And again, I'm going to leave a little bit of that fluff on the bottom there. And you could tie this in any kind of shade that you want. The tans and blacks kind of work really good in my neck of the woods. Do a couple of whips. Basically, you got your rear portion of your fly there. Very slender. And again, since I'm using a little bit smaller hook on this particular fly, I'm going to run 25-pound line. And this is mainly a fly that I would use on the upper reaches of the river where there's mainly no steelhead. Or salmon, so it's pretty much a trout fly. Although trout in those lower rivers will eat it. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run 5mm beads. I'm going to use two 5mm beads. So I'm downsizing from the 6 and I'm going to the 5. And it's debatable whether you could use even 4mm if you want on this particular pattern. Attach that thread again, and this front hook is again that TP 605, and it's a number 2. Very, very common size fly for some of these upper reaches of these rivers. Get that in there. Now the unique part of this fly here is I don't necessarily always weight this fly the same. Sometimes I'll use bead chains. Sometimes I'll use lead wraps. There's a number of things that I do on this particular fly to accomplish my goal. A lot of times I'm fishing this fly on a SA Titan Type 3 sink tip, so it's a very modest to slow sink, and that really helps out on those upper reaches of the rivers. A lot of times I'm having to fish out of a raft up there, so it's pretty thin water to begin with, and that type line does really good. And if it is spring, I may decide to put some lead on that, and this one I actually will, but I kind of left the eye off on purpose just to tell you that you can take, let's say, 020 wrap or 030 or 015 even, because it's, you know, a lot of these rivers vary, so you can do lead wrap, lead eye, any number of things on this particular pattern. Put a little bit of small lead eyes on there in the copper. Just kind of You're getting on there, and again, these are on the bottom. But there's actually some really nice plastic eyes you can put on here too if you really don't want the weight. Just depends on how you're fishing, but easily modified. I'm gonna go back to that satin chenille here. I'm just going to tie this off halfway. You can put rubber legs in here if you want. You can put, usually I'll put 2. I don't want a very thick fly here, so it's 50-50 on the rubber legs for me. This one I'll just do without, but you can put them in there. So you're just continuing on, and you have a very nice thin profile fly here. I'm going to put another collar in here. This front one I'm going to try to get as big as I can, or add a little bit longer fibers on my feather. You're just, again, you're collaring that feather, and I'm wrapping whatever the way that feather tells me to go. Fly tying is a means of production and nothing more. Get that wrapped up. And now I'm taking this Semperfly synthetic rabbit material. I'm going to create a little bit of a head for this fly. And you could use any color you want. But it's a nice material as opposed to the bunny, which has that hide to it. It's a little bit easier on the casting. You can do a lot of stuff with this material. You basically are going to end up with this a little bit of a worm here. And a lot of our fish are packed full of these when that water comes up in the spring. They're just completely impacted with them. So it always pays to have a nice small crawler on these rivers in the spring. I'm going to pick out those fibers. But it's a nice low profile streamer. For spring. Guide fly.